Hey, Philosopher Kings, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about wisdom, what Plato means when he says the philosopher king will be marked by wisdom. And so to start out, we need to recognize that wisdom is not the same thing as knowledge. There is a difference between knowledge, that is, the head knowledge you've gained and possess in your profession or in your academic discipline, versus wisdom, which is all about practical, everyday decision making. The idea of being wise is a very ancient concept. It's actually one of the first important human speculations about what it is to not only be human, but be a good human, and shot through ancient literature from the ancient Near East and Mesopotamia and Egypt and Canaan, all the way through the Greco-Latin tradition, is this idea that to be wise is to be a great connector of the meanings and circumstances of life. You see, a wise person knows two important things. One, that all of the world is connected, and so the decisions we make today affect what will happen tomorrow, and when we choose to think, speak, or act in a certain way, it could catch up to us the next day for good or for bad. And then secondly, and this is very related, the world operates on consequences, cause and effect. Whether it's good or bad, the practical decisions we make today will come to revisit us in the future. And so the past, present, and future are always connected by wisdom. And so a wise person in the ancient tradition, and especially in philosophy, learns to move in the world differently. And I'll bet you've noticed this in the professionals you greatly admire, although you may not have named it as Sophia or as wisdom. But a wise person moves in the world more slowly. That is, everything may be speeding and rushing around them, but in some way, this person appears calm, measured, and well estimated in their approach. It seems like they ride above the waves and don't get stressed when everyone else does. And when they need to step back and take a moment to consider the best thing to say or the best course of action, they don't seem to view it as a waste of time. In fact, they view it as the best use of time. And so it will appear that a wise person moves slowly. A wise person also moves in the world reflectively. They think carefully about consequences, what the effect of this cause will be, or what the lag indicator will be of this lead indicator. And so they've learned to be very intentional about what they say and what they do not. They've learned to be very intentional about what they'll take on or accept as part of their workload and what they will not, what they will shove to the side. And they've learned to be very reflective, intentional about who they are and who they are not, what they stand for and what they do not. And so a wise person moves slowly, and a wise person moves reflectively. And finally, a wise person moves cautiously, because they know that consequences are a real thing. They know that the decisions they make today, the way they think today, the way they speak today, the way they act today, will come back for the good or for the bad. And so here are a couple examples of ways I see wise persons choosing to go at the world or conduct themselves. And it's because they've understood the basic principle of cause and effect. It can work for you or against you. And so example number one is punctuality. A wise person arrives on time because they understand that there's a consequence for consistently arriving late. And the consequence is actually not about what gets done on time or when at all. The consequence is relational. You see, a wise person has learned to connect the dots between arriving late and what it says about whether or not they value the other person, and specifically the other person's time. And so a wise person will consistently arrive just a bit early to show reverence and esteem to the person they are meeting or the appointment they have to keep. You see, once someone understands the connection and consequences between showing up on time and the honor you show to another person for going through with your commitment at a certain time, well, you understand there's a great effect, good or bad, of when you show up. They understand, a wise person understands the very next interaction with their boss, their patient or client, or even their friends will be affected and colored by them being 15 to 20 minutes late at their appointment today. You see, when you're consistently late, it says, I'm more important than you. But the wise person knows this, and so they will arrive just a bit early, knowing that you give honor to get honor. You give honor to get honor. And so punctuality is actually a wise principle that can work for you or against you. And I bring this one up because I'm floored by how many students and young adults will show up 10, 15 minutes late and walk in like nothing happened, when actually a member of any other generation knows that there's an honor system attached to that. And so they're looking for punctuality and remembering punctuality. And so you can play this to your strength. You can have a great gain from this by understanding, if I just wisely set myself up to show up 5 minutes early every time that I can, and you'll fail sometimes, but every time that I can, you will be amazed how far that will go in relational capital and good consequences for you in the future. Let's talk about one more. Let's talk about speech. Plato explains that wise men talk because they have something to say. Foolish men talk because they have to say something. Have you ever been around the person that just doesn't seem to be able to know when they're going on and it's becoming awkward for everyone in the room? Yeah, there's maybe nothing more striking as foolish and unwise, and nothing more awkward than when someone doesn't know to just shut up, right? And so a wise person asks themselves, not just do I have something to say, but is it actually necessary for me to say it? And they think about the cause and effect, the consequences of what they say and how they're going to say it for how that relationship's going to go in the future. The next interaction and the interaction after that may be colored by misspoken words or words with unintended consequences or effect, and a wise person knows that. Proverbs 17:17 says, excellent speech is not becoming to a fool, much less lying lips to a prince. Wait, what did he say? Let me unpack that, okay? The first stitch of the little poetic piece in the Proverbs says that excellent speech is not becoming to a fool. That is, you would not expect, or it would not make sense for a foolish person, someone you've known to prove themselves as foolish, to say a bunch of wise things, right? The two are disconnected. And then we have a parallel statement that takes it even farther and gives a counterexample. Much less lying lips to a prince. That is, you would expect even less for a prince, or read a philosopher king, to be a liar. Okay? And so this is saying that just as it would be completely backwards for a fool to say something wise, how much more backwards would it be for someone to consider themselves a prince or a wise one or someone in charge or a ruler? We like to say a philosopher king, and then be a liar. You see, because a wise person knows that if you're caught in a lie today, it will affect the relationship tomorrow. And so, a big part of our moral character and our developing of wisdom is the need to be honest, to give people straight answers, and to have your word truly be your bond. Okay? And so, the wise person learns that their speech and their honesty in speech is very important and connected to the everyday in all sorts of ways. This is just a principle, again, that can work for you or against you. But a wise person, get the big picture, understands the connection that all of life holds, and that what we think, say, and do today could catch up to us tomorrow, and it could reward us tomorrow, or it could curse us tomorrow. If you want to grow more in wisdom, you should join the Philosopher Kings Facebook group, where we do free training like this all the time, where we interview experts in relational and emotional intelligence consistently, and where we seek the counsel of therapists who are for the success of Gen Z and young millennial professionals trying to take their next steps. At Philosopher Kings, we believe in empowering the next generation of professionals to think, speak, and act with knowledge, wisdom, and virtue. This has been the wisdom piece, and to go farther faster, you should be part of our community. Come be friends. You can click below in the show notes to hop right into the group. All right, I hope this has been helpful. Join us next time where we talk about the third piece of Plato's ideal of philosopher king: knowledge, wisdom, and now we're going to talk about virtue.